Welcome everyone. My name's Sue Elson. I'm an independent LinkedIn specialist, author, educator and practitioner, and today's webinar is on LinkedIn for early career professionals. I'd like to particularly welcome those people who've attending live, but also to anybody who's listening to the recording. You are welcome to add your questions in the chat, but there will also be an opportunity at the end for us to go open mic and ask questions as well. Whilst the screen is being shared, just letting you know that you will not appear on the recording. So if you would prefer not to be on any recording, please just leave by the time when the screen sharing is no longer there. So what are we going to cover today? The top 10 techniques for early career professionals to use on LinkedIn, as well as the top ways to use LinkedIn and how to manage your LinkedIn activity in 20 minutes per week. I am going to give you a little exercise a little bit later. So if you don't already, and you've got Wi-Fi access at the moment, I encourage you to make sure you have the LinkedIn app on your phone. I encourage you to make sure you're signed in to your LinkedIn app, and also in the settings on your phone that you have the camera turned on for the LinkedIn app, because you're going to be scanning a QR code. I hope that this information gives you absolutely awesome value and lots of proactive action items to follow up on as well. So a special gift for turning up. My latest offer, this is a link that was created only yesterday, sueelson.com/latest-offer. And if you go to that link, you'll be able to get a copy of the brand new LinkedIn statistics and backup spreadsheet. So if you'd like to keep a record of your stats and reminder of when you backed up your LinkedIn profile, you can pop that in your own very spreadsheet. There's no cost to that. Also, all of my clients have said one of the best things I've ever given them is the usernames and passwords list to fill in, because when you're on social media, you end up with so many social media profiles, login details, whatever, so you can do that. And you can also download my first 4 books for free on ResearchGate. So they're the 4 books. LinkedIn is strategic, attracting the right career business is story-driven, marketing your business hyperlocally is case study driven, and Gigsters is a conversation and even includes poetry in every chapter. So if you haven't already, I do invite you to follow me on social media. Every time I run an event, I put in these links with my current statistics. So if you do end up looking at any of the other LinkedIn Insights webinars, you will see the statistics have changed over time. My Twitter one has dropped. Maybe that was because Elon Musk purchased it. I don't know, only by one person, so I'm not too anxious about that. But I'm on lots of different channels there. I am on TikTok, but I'm not using it for LinkedIn purposes at this point, just to check out what's going on there, although I am seeing some interesting trends on TikTok. So for those of you who don't know me, my career started out at Westpac Bank in Adelaide, and that was 6 days after my last year 12 exam. I spent just over 11 years in the bank, moved to Melbourne, got a job, found out I was pregnant, got sacked, and basically haven't had a real job since 1994. But what I have done is founded Newcomers Network in 2001, Camberwell Network in 2012, and 120 Ways Publishing is how I publish my books. And I'm currently a member of the Institute of Managers and Leaders, the Melbourne Press Club, the Career Development Association of Australia, Australian Society of Authors, Writers Victoria, and the Small Press Network, because my future career, I would like to be an author more full-time rather than these other things that I do. So, as with all webinars, there's a few little things to let you know about. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on where we're meeting, wherever that be, in any country. This event welcomes people from all backgrounds, and it is only information. It's not professional advice, because I don't know your personal circumstances. You will be sent a link to the recording, and I invite you to keep your video and camera off and your microphone off during the presentation so that everybody can see it and hear it, because sometimes when there's lots of cameras on, the internet doesn't hold out. Also, I'm going to assume a very level of knowledge. So the slides are very detailed, but there will still be additional information that I will give you by voice and example. And of course, the questions, please pop those in the chat. You can got the links there if you want to follow me on social. You can learn more about me on my website, check out my clients. I will be also asking what has been most helpful to you today. So if there's anything that pops up, please put it in the chat. That is really helpful feedback. I spend a lot of time preparing these presentations. Each event takes about 10 hours of time to prepare, so it's all free. And so I really appreciate any feedback. And I also invite you to say thank you via Google review. The last event was LinkedIn for Creatives, and I got 5 Google reviews that day. I was super excited. So if you have a moment to write a review, an informative review, that would be helpful. So what is an early career professional? There is no sort of legal definition of what it is, but what I'm going to assume for today's presentation is that you've completed some form of tertiary education. That could be beyond secondary school. So it could be one subject at a technical college. It could be a 10-year degree, a master's, PhD, the whole lot. It doesn't really matter, but you've had some additional education. You're probably in the first 10 years of a career in a particular area. So this could mean that you could have had a career in something else for 20 years, but you're starting out in something new now. So you're in the first 10 years of that particular career. You could have changed your career. You could identify yourself as a future leader in your industry or profession. You are probably reasonably ambitious and have some goals in mind. I would like to think that you are a continuous learner. So whilst my formal education finished in 2001, since then I've been attending between 1 and 4 events every week, online, offline, things I read, what videos I watch, you name it. I am continually learning, which is why I have, lots to share. I would suggest that you're still developing a technical and leadership skills. So they might be still developing, and you are also a great networker, because at the end of the day, your network is your net worth. It's not a job. Just because you're earning a certain amount of money today doesn't mean you'll be earning that money tomorrow. What happens if you lose that job? Overnight, your income could drop to 0. But if you have a network, you can reach out to that network and get another opportunity reasonably quickly thereafter. I would also like to think that you're connected to your tertiary alumni. So even if you only did one subject at uni, you can list it on your LinkedIn profile as a subject completed, but also that you've joined professional association. So as you saw, I'm a member of a number of professional associations, but I do recommend that you do join at least one and that you are an active member of that. And also I did complete a webinar for the Geelong College on LinkedIn for early career professionals, and you can watch that video recording via that link there. So why would you even bother with LinkedIn? Well, you're going to be Googled by all sorts of people, and LinkedIn is highly optimized in Google search results for a name. If you haven't already got your own website, which I do recommend for everyone, mind you, I've only had my sueelson.com website for 10 years, and I've obviously been working for longer than that, but I do recommend that you get one at some point, because that way you can showcase anything you like. You're not limited to the boxes on the LinkedIn screen. So if you want to get started on that process, you can get a free Google website at business.google.com today, and it can appear in search results. Really cool. There's also over 810 million members worldwide on LinkedIn and over 15 million in Australia. I looked at some statistics. It's about 20% increase year on year on people who log into LinkedIn regularly now. So maybe we can thank the pandemic for that. I've actually been on LinkedIn since the 21st of December 2003. So I'm member number 77832 and very proud of that. So first 80,000 people in the world on LinkedIn. And I've been consulting on it since 2008. So I've also been helping people with LinkedIn for a long time. I've never been employed by LinkedIn. So nothing I'm suggesting here is to make LinkedIn money. It's to help you achieve your purpose. No job or enterprise is forever, and a network is what you can build on LinkedIn. Back before LinkedIn existed, I had a little address book that I had to update every time somebody changed their address or phone number. Now we have addresses, phone numbers, social media profiles, all sorts of accounts. We have millions of things. So much easier to remain connected through LinkedIn than through any particular channel. So what are the top 10 techniques for early career professionals? My question to you is, how many of these are you doing already? So let's look at the first one. How many have connected with your fellow alumni? Now, this could include people you went to secondary school or tertiary education, and it could be people who are members of the professional association. So I've connected with a lot of people who are members of the Career Development Association of Australia. So lots of those are in my network. Now, yes, many of those people do exactly what I do, but databases work in such a way that the more people I'm connected to in my industry, the more the database realizes that that's my specialty. So it's very helpful for me to do that. You might also like to write recommendations or endorse your fellow alumni. So I heard of a story of a whole bunch of engineering students who endorsed each other for engineering skills even before they'd finished their degree, which I thought was kind of funny. But definitely connect with these people before you leave that educational environment, because quite often what happens is once you finish study, you lose contact with people. Now, there might be people you studied with you never want to contact ever again. That's fine. You don't have to connect with everyone, but definitely invite you to do that. Throughout this presentation, which you will also get access to, there are links to additional information. So the first link here is to LinkedIn for students and future graduates. And the good news is a school in New York recently told me they'd shared that with their students. So I was super excited about that. And there's also this LinkedIn tips and tricks for students. So that's a presentation I did during orientation week for Swinburne University here in Melbourne. So you're welcome to watch that as well. That goes through some of the hands-on stuff that we're talking about today. You also need to add the details of your education to your LinkedIn profile. Now, if you are, I'm just enabling a live transcription here. So if you only completed 3 subjects and hated the course and thought, oh, I've got to get out of here, and I know somebody who did this, you can still mention that you have completed those 3 subjects at that university, because it adds you to their alumni. Now, when I started my career in the bank, they suggested I do a certificate in banking through TAFE. I did 9 subjects. It was an absolute waste of my time. I was falling asleep in lectures. The course material was completely out of date back then. And so I quit the course and my career took off. And then I decided to choose the next qualification that I did. And I completed a Bachelor of Business in Administrative Management. There were still some holes in that course, but what I loved about it was a whole bunch of different subjects that have been very, very useful throughout my career. So don't assume just because you've dropped out of course, that's the end. It definitely is not. And micro-credentials and short courses and online learning, all of these things are options now. And so you can definitely talk about them in your LinkedIn profile. The number one tip that I give everybody for their LinkedIn profile is to customize the URL. So if you go to that link there, you can change your LinkedIn URL from your first name dash, last name dash, and a whole bunch of numbers and letters to something that is tailored for you. So I've got the gold standard, Sue Elson, all one word, but you can put a dash between your first and last name. You could put your post nominals. You could put some other keyword that you want to be known for, or you can put a number. But if you've got a really common name, so there's a client I worked with called Paul Smith, very common name. So we called him Paul S.J. Smith because he has 2 middle names. And that was really helpful to make him identifiable online. The next tip is to edit your headline. Now, if you are studying or still not got much experience in your area of expertise that you studied, you're not an accountant yet necessarily. You might have more qualifications to go through, but you still want to appear in search results from recruiters or decision makers for the job of accountant. So I found Neil Jane, as you can see there, on LinkedIn yesterday, and he actually called himself an aspiring financial accountant. So I was super excited to see that. Other words you could use: future, prospective, striving. There might be some other word you wish to use. But the benefit, whilst the machines do not understand adjectives yet they only understand keywords, we can be found in search results for the words where we would like to work. So even if you don't have experience, you can say you're aspiring. So when a human reads the text, they know that you're not there yet, but you're on the way. And I'm sure they'll be much more interested in looking at you because you've already mentioned where you're going. Now, lots of LinkedIn trainers provide different headline formulas. Mine is via that link. Basically, it says, give yourself a label first. So that's what everybody sees every time they see you in the news feed. So that's at the beginning of your headline, which is this spot just underneath your name. The next component is keywords that you want to be found for. So Neil has put in MYOB and zero. You can put nearly 4 lines of text in here. So even with Neil here, I would suggest that they actually increase the number of keywords in there. And the final part of the headline formula that I recommend is putting in something personal about you. So I like dancing. I'm terrible at it, by the way, but I put in dancer and little dancing lady emoji so that I look up to date with it, cool, but not too groovy because, I'm a woman of a certain age and I don't want to look ridiculous. So I've only got 1 emoji in there. But it's also because I am a woman of a certain age, I want people to know I'm active. By the way, folks, on Saturday, I went surfing for the first time. Was sore right up until yesterday, but oh well, here I am, and I had a great time. Fabulous. Now, obviously, if you're in the beginning of your career, you want to make sure that you're using all the bells and whistles on the LinkedIn platform. And you, via the LinkedIn mobile phone app or the app on your phone or your tablet, you can add a video and an audio to your LinkedIn profile. So when you click on your face on the app, it will enable you to add, I think it's minute video, 30 seconds or a minute, I can't remember which, to your profile. Now, I just did mine recorded in my office here late at night, but at least I've got something up there. And the voice pronunciation is very good if you've got an unusual spelling, but also for anybody who's vision impaired, they might like to hear your voice. So by all means, add those in as well. Now, if you haven't already, if you're still a student, join the professional association. Some professional associations offer membership for free for students. So you get 12 months free. Some offer it for like $30 a year, way better than waiting until you become a professional, because then you'll be paying probably $300 plus a year to be a member. And if you do have that membership, then you can showcase that on your LinkedIn profile. Now, if you check me out, and feel free to stalk me as many times as you like after today, you will see that my CDAA membership is in the licenses and certifications section, it's in the organisation section, and it's in the contact info website links section of my LinkedIn profile. So if you want some more instructions on how to showcase your professional membership on LinkedIn, follow that article. Believe it or not, it is one of the most popular pages of my website because Google keeps giving that information to people. Now, LinkedIn is an amazing research tool, and you can find exactly the types of people that you need to connect to for your purpose. So it could be that you're looking for work and you want to find particular companies. So in the search box, you can type in whatever type of a company it is and then choose the company's link, and it will go through all the companies that have that. You could look for particular people who you know are experts in your field, and you can reach out to them. You can follow them. You can respond to their posts by reactions, likes, clapping hands, light bulb, all those sorts of things. And you can also comment on their stuff. But if you can't find someone you're looking for on LinkedIn through the searches available through LinkedIn, what you can do is something called a Google Advanced Search. So you just go into Google, type in Google Advanced Search, and you can say, I'm looking for all the accountants in Melbourne, and I'm going to look on the website linkedin.com and click Advanced Search. And this will give you an unlimited number of searches. So one of my students was previously an academic at a university, and she wanted to help people edit their PhDs in the area of science. Now, she went out with her, big payout and spent $20,000 on a website, which was, unfortunately, it didn't work. She didn't get any leads out of it. But a lot of people who are studying PhDs will mention that they are studying a PhD on their LinkedIn profile. So all she needed to do to get her business up and running was to do a Google advanced search, studying PhD and the word science, and look on LinkedIn, and she would have found all sorts of people all over Australia or even the world who she could have connected with. And then when they connect with her, they would see that she edits PhD papers, and she could have got work from that. So it could have been a very simple way for her to reach exactly the target audience she needed for her services. Now, she didn't have to connect and say, I can edit your PhD paper. She just had to connect and then maybe later provide them with a little handy tip sheet or something like that and build the relationship and then, go from there. Now, this link here is also ways that you as an employee can support your employer. So if you do get work, it's a really good idea for you to understand what the social media policy is of the organisation, but also follow it. And there's lots of ways you can support your employer. And why wouldn't you? Because, they're paying you. So definitely consider checking out that article as well. As I said, don't forget, pop your questions in the chat. I'm happy to answer any and all questions. Last month, this webinar went for an hour and a half because we had so many questions, but the content will definitely be processed in 1 hour. So next thing is to share your own story. And I have found that a lot of people who are in that early career phase are a little bit nervous about saying, yeah, but I don't have any experience, Sue. Yes, but you do have transferable skills. There are things you learned in your course or your part-time job or your side hustle that are all very helpful at explaining the value that you can offer to someone. So even the fact that I attend between 1 and 4 events a week, I'm making big noise about that because I want people to know I am up to date, and that means I provide value. So one of the workshops I ran was on LinkedIn for a girls' school. And so that prompted me to write this piece on LinkedIn for women. Now, this is a summary piece. It's suitable for men or anybody who identifies as any other gender. But I wrote it because there's a lot of specific issues that women feel uncomfortable talking about. So I wanted to share that link here so that you lose the anxiety around sharing your information online. And please bear in mind, I've been in the online world since 2001. So my phone number is all over the internet, my email address is all over the internet, and I haven't had issues because the way I present myself online is professional. And so you won't see any pictures of me, that are inappropriate online. Well, not to my knowledge, at least. And there's also some tips here for a professional LinkedIn photo or any social media photo. So get your eyes on the 1/3 line, looking at the camera, smiling with your teeth showing, neutral background, dressed in clothing that's suitable for the type of work you're interested in. It can also be difficult for you to write a summary about yourself. So you might want to do this with a person, but then there's different summaries for different purposes. So if you're looking for a job, that might be quite different to drumming up business for your little side hustle. So keep that in mind as well. Use ways to write and add your achievements to your LinkedIn profile. So if you say you're the best person who was ever an accountant, that's probably a slight stretch of the truth. But if you said you're an accountant and you've done A, B, C, D, E, they're all good achievements and perfectly fine to state out loud, because there's a perception that if you've done that in the past, then there's a potential for you to be able to do that again in the future. Also, for those of you who, because of the pandemic, were not able to get the work experience that you would have liked to have got, then there's some tips on here for what to do for your career whilst you're at home and not able to get any work experience. I actually suggest the 3 best ways for anybody with disadvantage to get work are through networking, referrals, and voluntary work. And when I say voluntary work, I don't mean working for free for 60 hours a week. I mean targeting organisations where you can develop your skills and make new connections, networking, referrals, you know, so that's the goal of voluntary work, and preferably close to home as well. Now, one of the workshops I did recently was for a private girls' school not far from here, and we prepared a student's profile. So this is a person who hasn't finished their secondary education and who hasn't had much work experience yet. But if you would like to check out how Mia has updated her LinkedIn profile, that may also give you some clues as to some of the things that you'll be able to put on yours. Oh, I've got a little message here, so invaluable. I've got so much out of this. Sure, there's much more, have to leave. Oh, okay, no worries, but that you'll be able to access the recording. Thanks for all that you do. Oh, that's a nice message. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so the next thing is any LinkedIn settings. So there are some ones that I suggest. If you click on these links, that will give you access to each of these settings. So the first one is turn off people also viewed. So if you looked at my profile and it said people who looked at Sue also looked at Mary, Joan, Bob, Bill, whatever, then you might be tempted to go and look at their profiles. So I suggest that you turn this off. The only time you would turn it on is late at night when you want to see who your competitors are. You don't need videos to automatically play because that will use up heaps of data when you're out on your mobile phone. And you can also select your visibility. So if you go to visibility, I leave myself turned on. But let's say I had a job interview tomorrow and I didn't want them to know I've looked at them before the job interview. I could make myself anonymous and then go and look at that person's profile and they'll never know that I looked at them, and then I can come back in and leave myself turned on. If I leave myself turned on and I look at people, there is a 30% chance they will then look at me. So if you're a little bit nervous about reaching out to people, you can just leave yourself turned on, visit their profile, and there's a 30% chance they may look back at you and say, wow, we need someone just like that. And you could end up with a job that way as well. Now, the next one is to, you can add major topics that you would like to talk about if you turn on creator mode, and you can add 5 hashtags. Now, when you turn on creator mode, it will give you the ability to write newsletters, but it will also turn off the connect button. So people will not see a connect button when they visit your LinkedIn profile. So if you've tried to connect with someone and it only said follow, what you can do is you can click the more button or the 3 dots, and it will still show you how to connect with someone. So don't be put off if you see the follow button. You can still reach out to people by clicking more or the 3 dots and then choosing connect. Now, statistics. One of the freebies that I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation was this new spreadsheet that I created yesterday, where you can collect all of your statistics. So if you write down your statistics today and then do everything I suggest in this presentation or any of the other content that I have on my website, and then check your LinkedIn profile in 3 months, you will definitely notice an increase. So if you want to download this spreadsheet, you just go to sueelson.com/latest-offer, and then these are my statistics. Now, I would never in a million years expect you to have these kind of numbers, but I just wrote them in so that there was some data in there so that you would delete that and put your number in. So it also suggests how to find that information. So there's the link to it. And I've also got my recommendations as to the number you should get. So if you were looking for work, you would want at least to appear in 50 search results over 7 days, and you would want at least 100 views of your profile in 90 days. So they're the goals to achieve as well. So that's all the techniques. Now, how would you go about using LinkedIn if you're at the early career professional stage? And please, again, don't forget, pop your questions in the chat. I'm happy to answer any and all questions. You can just send them to me directly if you don't want me to announce it was your question. So some of these tips in this next section have been included in other LinkedIn Insights webinars because they're so important generally, but I've also added in a little bit of text that's relevant for early career professionals. So a lot of people assume that when you're on social media, you have to post. And I'm saying, hang on a minute, rather than just talking all the time, which is what posting is, or speaking, how about listening? And that means that when you see content, you choose the thumbs up, the clapping the hands, the my care and concern for you, love it, bright idea, or curious. Now, apparently, this love heart one will make the post go more viral. And so that's why some of you may have noticed there's little posts on LinkedIn about my dad died and he was amazing and blah, 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 and everybody gives sympathy or empathy. So that's why this particular reaction choice will make content go further. But I would not suggest you put those kind of posts out all the time. Nobody wants to hear about that stuff all the time anyway. I think we should still focus on professional stuff. But, you know, try and engage. And ideally, you would engage with 12 other pieces of content before you shared some of your own content. And it's a really good way to maintain relationships with people. Like, who doesn't like it when somebody likes your stuff? I mean, it gives you a good feeling. Now, if you spend all day liking people's stuff, everybody will start to wonder, does this person ever do any work? So I wouldn't suggest you go crazy over it, but definitely encourage you to increase it. Now, the other thing is a lot of people who are at the starting point of their career are a little bit nervous in the job, but you might see things that people who've been there for 5, 10, 15 years don't see. And you might be able to communicate with the social media team or the communications team about what's going on. And so definitely, if you want to start that journey after engagement, you start curating or creating content, there's an article there that goes into more of that detail. You can also incorporate various features into your LinkedIn content strategy. So as I said before, you can do newsletters, you can run events, which this was an event on LinkedIn, you can run polls, and within your posts, you can actually include things like emojis. All those little ticks there are emojis. You've got the @ of Fueled by Growth here. I've got a link, I've got a hashtag keywords, I've got other hashtags down here. Normally, I also include the hashtag Sue Olson so that everything related to me can be found via that little click as well. Now, adding connections. So now's the time to get out your phone and open up your LinkedIn app. What you can do in the LinkedIn app is in the search box up the top. If you press in the search box, you will then see some little dots on the side. And if you press those little dots on the top right-hand side of your mobile phone, you will see you have your own QR code, which is what I've got here on the screen. Alternatively, you can see that there's that scan feature, which means that you can use your phone to scan that person's QR code. When someone's profile appears on your screen, so if mine has appeared now, you will either see a blue button, which is connect or follow, and you will also see 3 dots, which says personalize invite is the choice you need to make. So if you're out and about at a networking meeting or a board meeting, something like that, you want to connect with people, you don't have a business card with you, you can whip out your phone and show them your LinkedIn QR code. Then when you say personalize invite, you can say, nice to meet you at the XYZ function, and then send off the request. And then when you get back to your desk and you want to follow up, you can just click on your My Network button on LinkedIn and see who your most recent connections are, and then follow up with all of those people as well. So from now on, let's not beat ourselves up for anything that's happened in the past. I would encourage you to connect with everyone you meet, wherever that may be, personally, professionally, because your value is in your network. So a lot of early career professionals or students will connect with parents of fellow students, because after all, those parents have great careers, and that can be very helpful as well. I also recommend that you update your LinkedIn profile every year at least, because there's usually something else that has happened. Make sure that you list any voluntary work you do, because that is also extremely important. When I was doing the graduate recruitment program for Westpac, we counted that as a very good feature of a candidate. We had a list, and people didn't just get high grades. They had to be, do activities, be involved in team activities, take on leadership positions. There were all these criteria that we assessed people on. And if there are VIPs in your life, these are the people who always support you, who've given you encouragement, you love their work. There's a little bell, and if you visit their profile on the top right-hand side, there's a bell, and you can press that bell, and then it's just like every notification bell on any other platform, and it will ensure that most of the content that person shares, you will be notified about. So there's a really cool guy here in Melbourne, a former journalist who writes amazing stuff. So I've clicked on the notification bell because otherwise I may not see his content. So you might like to find a few of those people in your network and make sure you receive their stuff so that you can respond and engage. Now, setting your goals. There are a lot of people now who have side hustles, extra businesses, little things that they do in addition to whatever they do to pay the bills. And so keep this in mind. You can say that you're open to work. You can also say that you provide services. So this is a little copy of my services page, and you can even add media. So when we did the LinkedIn for Creatives webinar, we got them to add in their artwork or their visuals of whatever they do. And so feel free to set that section up, because at the end of the day, you don't just join LinkedIn and try and put something on there and then forget about it, or only use it when you're looking for work. You need to think about, what do you actually want to achieve out of it? So let's say you've got a job and you want a promotion. Well, isn't it a good idea to be connected with everybody in the organisation? Isn't it a good idea to promote the organisation's work? Isn't it a good idea to network outside the organisation so that people in the industry know you, not just the people in the organisation? These are all techniques that you could implement via your personal LinkedIn strategy. Naturally, if you are working in an organisation, you need to abide by their social media policy. They may ask you, if you connect with someone in your work role, you've then got to add them to the company database, the CRM, customer relationship management system. They might suggest, we would like you to add this YouTube video to your profile so that people can learn more about the organisation. They might want you to describe the organisation in a particular way. They might want you to like the company page posts every so often. There might be all sorts of requests. So just check out what that is and make sure you abide by it. You can also consider writing articles. And I know that people who are in the early stages of their career don't necessarily feel confident writing things. But let me assure you, most people do not feel comfortable writing. And so your opinion is just as valuable. Now, there's probably heaps of other people who've written stories on should you pay for social media ads, but my angle is my angle. So I wrote one at the end of last year and popped that on, because a lot of people think, oh, well, I don't want to do the work. I'll just pay for ads and the ads will do the work for me. Well, sadly, that doesn't always work. So that's why I wrote this article. But if you do write content and you publish it elsewhere, please make sure you keep a copy, because if they delete it, it's gone. And this happened for me on another website I provided answers to, and then I didn't follow some policy and they deleted the whole lot. So before I write any answers now, I always copy the answers and have a record. Now, the next thing is your artistic flair to LinkedIn. So a lot of people have this impression that LinkedIn is this boring professional thing, just an online resume. But I'm here to suggest that a lot of people are looking for other people on the internet, whether that be Google or LinkedIn. And if you can share your story, you are more likely to attract opportunities. One person came to a 1-hour webinar I ran, and the following day, he was getting 6 calls from recruiters per day. Now, that's too many. Nobody wants to be contacted by 6 recruiters a day. But he found what worked to attract opportunities. So please add in videos, images, PDFs, the audio, the video, any of these extra things. Get recommendations, get people to endorse you. And obviously, if you have a website, then you want those other things highlighted in that picture there, because you can't just have a website and be in business. You've got to have social media, you've got to have reviews, you've got to have links on directory websites, and you've got to have links on other websites. It's all part of your online presence, and LinkedIn is just one. However, as I said before, with that academic who was editing PhDs, you can start your entire enterprise just with a LinkedIn profile. And I think a lot more people in the future will not be thinking about a job. They'll be thinking about work, a bit of creative work, a bit of technical work, a bit of something else active. It'll be a combination type of approach to earning a living. And consistency is key. Now, the LinkedIn user agreement is got a section number 8, which says basically do this and don't do that. And so if you've got a moment, check it out and make sure you abide by it, because LinkedIn does delete profiles without warning. And that's another reason why you should follow that little spreadsheet and back up your LinkedIn profile as well, in the unlikely event that it is deleted. If you do good things, it shouldn't be deleted. And, you know, I've been online since 2003 on LinkedIn. So the top 10 ways to manage your LinkedIn activity in 20 minutes per week. So log in and engage with the newsfeed, check out your notifications, look at who has invited you to connect and look at any event invitations or page follows. Visit and engage with the content of your employer or your own enterprise, or those VIPs that you've got appearing in your notifications. Edit or update your own profile or settings if something's changed and you want to tweak something. Post an item in the newsfeed. It could be curated, something you found elsewhere and decided to share, or it could be something you've created. And check out your stats and see whether you need to do anything else. You may also like to subscribe to my monthly LinkedIn newsletter. I always include something that's new to LinkedIn in that newsletter, and lots of other general tips and links to other stuff I've published. So where do you go to from here? Well, I have written a lot of stuff, so feel free to check out the publications page of my website. If you just feel that videos is better for you, you can just watch videos, the direct links there, no waiting, no delay. The next LinkedIn Insight webinar I'm running is on the 8th of June, LinkedIn for Authors. So it's up online now. Feel free to register. That will also give you access to the recording. My other presentations that are coming up. And if you would like to engage my professional services, as in you go away, do all this stuff, and then you want me to check it, I'm happy to do that at $175 per hour for up to 2 people. If we do it online, it can also be recorded. Most people who work with me get a job at the salary they want within 3 months of engaging me. So if you're, putting up with a crappy job now at a low salary, consider updating your LinkedIn profile and getting some professional assistance, because you absolutely can market yourself. It is definitely an employee market at the moment. My next door neighbour is a recruiter, and he says he hasn't seen it this bad in over 20 years in recruitment. So if you can share your story well on LinkedIn, I can assure you, you will attract much better opportunities and be considered for much better opportunities and promotions in the future. Now, here's a list of the previous ones I've run, so you can check out the recordings for any of these, and these are the ones that are coming up. So if you want to register for any of those, at least put the date in the diary and then watch out for the link. The only one that the link is available for now is the LinkedIn for Authors one. Don't forget, if you would like to download those first 4 books completely free, you can go to sueelson.com/latest offer, and that will give you access to those, as well as the statistics and backup spreadsheet, as well as the usernames and passwords list. I'm just going to type this into the chat, and also a link to my services page as well. Latest offer. There you go, in the chat. So again, reminder, follow me on social media. Those links were also in the chat and will be in the presentation. And everybody who've registered, I'll send you the link to the recording. So now's your chance to say what has been most helpful to you, or what will you action? I would love to know. I will be turning off the screen share shortly, and then I can show you anything you would like me to on LinkedIn. It is live, so I apologize for any messages that might pop up. But also, because this does take me 10 hours of my time, there's a variety of ways that you can say thank you. So you can connect with me and write a LinkedIn recommendation, or you can do a Google review. You can just scan that QR code. And also, if you need to ask somebody else a favor, please don't say, can I meet you for coffee and pick your brain? I mean, that's really insulting to an expert. But there are many ways to ask for assistance, and most people are more than happy to help. But if you can offer something in return, you're much more likely to be successful. So there's an article I've written there which says, sorry, we don't have a budget for that, but here's what we can offer you instead. So you might find that helpful if you do need to ask for something for free. I also have pay what you can afford rates if money is an issue. You just need to sort of mention why, and I'm happy to consider that as well if that is a concern. So that's the end of the presentation, or the official part. And what I will do is just pop the LinkedIn screen up here. As I said, it's likely that things will pop up. So are there any questions? I've got a lovely thank you from Julia. David said, great. Oh, it's going fast here. Let me just get that onto my screen. Review my site, venturing into a new arena. Oh, that's exciting, David. Congratulations. Yes, it can be a little bit scary. There's an article I've written. In fact, I'll just Google this, because this is what you really need to nut out. It's your LinkedIn primary and secondary keywords. So this is an article I wrote on LinkedIn way back in 2015. It's still #1, page 1 of Google. How exciting is that? So David, if you want to check that out, you can find all the words related to your new area and then incorporate those in your content moving forward, and also in how you describe what you've done previously. So that's helpful. I wasn't able to share my profile via QR code. Yes, Kelly. And the benefit of when you do that QR code exercise is people think you're very digitally competent and capable, and then they learn something new. And so it really works for everybody. Before COVID, you were actually able to use your LinkedIn profile like a dating app and connect with everybody in the room. It was a bit spooky, actually. So it would scan for all the people in the room, and then you could just add all those people to your network. Unfortunately, thanks to COVID, they've deleted that profile, probably to stop people congregating, but it was a very handy feature, but we've still got the QR code, so that's great. Emma said, an engaging presentation. Thanks for your time. Google Advanced Search. Yes, it's amazing. And what I do is when I see people's LinkedIn profiles, I right-click, open a new tab, right-click, open a new tab. So then I can just go through each of the tabs and check out the profile. So I don't have to go backwards and forwards through screens, which takes up a lot of time with a slow internet connection in Australia. So right-click, open a new tab is really, really helpful. Lisa says, thank you, as does Kieran Mai. Paul, great presentation. Love the QR code tip. Excellent. All right. So what I will do is I will stop sharing. So if you don't want your face on the recording, please turn your camera off now. And we will go to live questions, so that if you just want to raise your hand via the reactions button or just unmute, I will call you out and you can ask another question if you wish. Otherwise, you are welcome to email me directly or message me on LinkedIn. If you've got a quick question, more than happy to answer that as well. I'll just put sueelson@sueelson.com is my email address. I've just popped that in the chat. So anybody have any other questions, comments that they would like to share? Mark, welcome.
Hi, Sue. Thank you very much again for a fantastic talk and lecture, or whatever you, I don't know what to call it exactly, but again, you share so many gems for us and so freely. It's such a my Siri just thought something, then started speaking to me. Really, I'm a bit slow getting everything going, but I'm going through all the steps from the last one and this one. Just a quick question on the QR code. I just tried that then, and when I was doing it, it says it doesn't give me my code. There's no my code there. And when I hit scan, I've got nothing there as well. So I don't know why.
Right. Okay.
I'll have to have a look at the details in it later, maybe, because it just says nothing on both of them. So I don't know. But
that's a bit strange. Okay. Are you definitely signed in?
I believe so, because it's got my profile at the top, my picture. Yeah.
Are you in the app or are you in the browser?
I think I'm in the app. Yeah, definitely in the app. Yeah.
In the app. Okay, what I'm going to suggest you do is check your phone and see if there's a LinkedIn update that hasn't gone through.
Right.
And then I'm going to suggest that you sign out of it and sign back into it and see if it works, because tech is this crazy thing that sometimes things work and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it was using the phone connection and not the Wi-Fi. I don't know, just stupid things happen. So you just kind of have to battle test these things.
Yes.
The other thing is you can't actually get the QR code from the desktop laptop version. I was going to say that might have been another way to go about it. Look, if you have any more problems, just let me know.
Sure, thank you. It's just such a great tip. Like everyone else said, such a great tip. I didn't want to miss out on that one, but thank you again.
Yeah, no, it's definitely there.
It's so invaluable, and I'll probably be contacting you shortly as well myself after I do the next 2 steps for my next step. So you'll hear and see of me more in the future. But thank you so much again, Sue. It's been such a pleasure to listen to you and learn from you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And it's great that you've come back so many times as well. You know, like that shows a real commitment to making this stuff work for you. And that's what, you know, any social media does. You do have to show up if you want it to work. You can't just have one viral thing and then, you know, sit back on your laurels. That's exactly the kind of thing of you've got to be consistent. So definitely an important point. Of all the things you've done so far, has anything led to anything from what you've done on LinkedIn? Because you've got basically a brand new profile. No.
Yeah, I've got a brand new profile, and I've had a number of people, ads and things trying to connect with me, but with definitely not anything to do with my business yet. So I've ignored all those. So I haven't actually got many just yet. But I've been to a couple of wedding expos, and I'm doing another one this weekend, and I'm trying to connect with people there as much as I can. So that's my next step. So
and
baby steps as we get there, but eventually.
Yeah, it is. And the challenge that you face is a lot of people in the industry you want to reach out to don't necessarily have LinkedIn profiles. So it's going to probably take, you know, a year or 2 before people start realizing, we kind of have to have one. But definitely the use is increasing. So thank you for that update.
Thank you, Sue. And Jet says hello too, my little. He's been sitting on my lap the whole time. Yeah, he's my big black cat. Isn't he beautiful?
How gorgeous is he? Hi, Jet.
He's a 8-kilo black cat. Sorry, I don't waste everyone's time, but he was just sitting on my lap the whole time here listening as well.
Kelly likes it. She's put a love heart in. There's another cat lady here.
Right. Oh, yeah, I saw that. Thanks, Kelly. I won't monopolize any more of your time. Thank you.
That's all right. Thank you, Mark. Somebody else has mentioned they'd like to have a one-to-one session. Just contact me via LinkedIn or email, whichever you prefer. As I said, $175 an hour. I normally recommend 2 hours so we can get quite a lot of things done in the first session. If we do it online, it can be recorded, so then you can go through and do anything else. And any additional templates, links, resources are all included. And most people get the result they're looking for within 3 months. 2 sites. Okay, so I do coach, David, on this for both groups and individuals. Now, some people end up with 2 LinkedIn profiles because they created one, forgot the password, decided, I'll just create another one. But it doesn't kind of work. So what you need to do is try and remember what the password was on the original one and which email address you used. Now, it could be that email address is long gone, you can't remember the password. So what you have to do is you have to say you forgot your password, and then you have to provide identification to LinkedIn. So they normally want a photo of your driver's license or passport or something like that. And you need to give them another email address not the one on your current LinkedIn account, another email address they can use to add to that old account. Once you've got access to that old account, what you would then do is get a copy of your data. And the way you do that, let me show you. It takes a couple of days to come through, but it's always a good idea to get a copy of your data before you close an account. So you just go up here to the Me menu and choose Settings and Privacy. And it's under Data Privacy. And you request get a copy of your data, download the larger data archive, pop your password in. Now, LinkedIn will prepare that archive, send you an email with a link. And you click on that link and download all your files. So once you've downloaded everything from your old profile, then what you do is you sign out of that secondary account. Then you go back into your first account, the one you want to keep, and you go down to where it says merge accounts. So you're signed in to the account you want to keep, and then you put in the email and password of that duplicate account and submit it. And what that will do is it'll bring over all the connections from that secondary account. So it won't bring over all the messages or details or anything. So that's why you've got to get a copy of your data before you get rid of that duplicate account. Then what I would suggest that you do is add every email address you can ever think of to your LinkedIn account. So that way you will not accidentally create another duplicate account. And if you lose access to that email address, you can always sign in with one of these other email addresses.
Thanks so much, Sue. That's great. Yeah, they asked me one day on a different site, and I thought, oh, they just want to just confirm it's me, and I created another site by accident. And now,
I know it's easily done, so don't beat yourself up.
Thanks so much, Sue. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, David. Thanks for the question. You'd be surprised how often it happens. It's a really common issue. Yeah. So anybody else like to share what's been most helpful, or if they have a question? Otherwise, we will wrap up and I'll let you have an early minute. Great that we were able to get through the questions as well in the hour. Otherwise, I'll assume that I've covered lots of information that you can take away and you're all good to go. All done. Well, as I said, thank you again. Great pleasure to have you with us. I look forward to seeing you online, either at another LinkedIn Insights online webinar or just on LinkedIn more generally. So thanks for joining us, and bye for now.
Thank you, Sue.